This is my top bar hive. Just getting it set up today. This is the 2nd of April. And so it's not inhabited just yet. Hopefully I receive a package of bees next weekend. So I'll try to shoot some video as we populate this thing with that package of bees, a 3-pound package. But I was just going to show you a little bit of this hive. It's a kind of a hybrid, a variation of most of the top bar hives that I've seen where the plans were published on the internet, or YouTube examples of other people building their hives. This one is completely out of scraps from the garage, and so it's cost me practically nothing except for a couple of carriage bolts and 1 or 2 little hardware items. But for the most part, I think I've got less than $20 into this particular hive. So just mostly out of necessity, I have it on 3 legs. It's a tripod situation, just because of the amount of material that I had on hand. And I thought, well, I'll give this a try and see if it lends to some stability. No matter where I place it, 3 legs will even out. If you have a 4th leg and it's not quite even, it tends to teeter and rock. I don't know if that'll be a big deal or not, but I'm going to try the 3-leg situation for now. I keep a piece of webbing over the top and a 10-pound weight just to give it some weight to keep the wind from blowing the top off. And I did build 3 entrances here on this side with a little landing board. And the more that I've read about top bar hives and seen examples of them in use, I changed my mind, decided I would plug these, and I put the holes on the one end, so it's got an entrance on the very end, and I'll show you that in a moment. I can plug any of these holes, and I'll need to plug the others in the winter time, close them down and leave one entrance open using this foam. This is a expanded polyethylene foam, so it's rather spongy. I just cut little plugs out of a piece of packing material using a hole saw. I have 1-inch holes, and so I used a 1 1/4-inch hole saw to cut these plugs so I can squeeze them down and they'll hang on really tight. This is the entrance end, and so it's got the 3 1-inch holes. And this works fairly nicely where I can later come in and put in some screen here to keep rodents from climbing in, and yet let the bees ingress and egress. And underneath, I did build this with the open bottom with the screen, but I do have a board underneath that will close it up. And I can also slide in a bottom board if I want to look for things like varroa mites and just check what the bees are dropping. And so this is attached through these latches. There's one on each side. So just popping this latch, the board will drop, and I can pull it out, and it's just leaving the screen exposed. So I'm going to open it up and just show you the insides. This just pops off. It's not hinged. Some people like to use hinges, and I just didn't take the time or the luxury to do that. Easy enough to pop it off and set it aside. Have a piece of reflective bubble wrap just to help with a little insulation, shielding them from some of the heat. May not need to use that all the time, but possibly in the winter it might help to hold some of the heat inside. So currently I have this set up to have 17 top bars. They're not all in play at the moment. The bees will be introduced into this section, so they'll have something like 10 or 11 bars to work with at first and start to build their colony. And over here I have a feeder, and let me show you some of the details of this feeder. This is modified from what I've seen Phil Chandler use in his top bar hive. So it's a board with 2 holes cut that fit just right for a couple of canning jars to fit in there upside down. And there's some 1/8-inch screen stapled underneath, so the bees can't escape. The jars will sit there perfectly, and the lids will have the holes in it, and it's close enough to the screen that the bees can indeed get their nourishment through the screen. There'll be enough moisture coming out of the jar that they can just drink that right up. And this is just a bottom board. So it uses 2 follower boards. There's 2 follower boards. One has a hole in it, and that's so the bees can gain access to the feeders from the central part of the hive. And I might end up drilling another 1 or 2 holes just to give them easier access. It's a little hard to see down inside the hive right now. Here's the screen, the bottom screen. I have the bottom board in place right now. And my top bars are pretty simple. I chose not to use any foundation. Some use a little piece of string, and what I ended up doing was just taking some of those bamboo skewers. And I took a skewer and stapled it in to the bottom side of the bar. And then I dribbled a generous amount of beeswax, just melted it and dribbled it right in there. So that still provides a guide for the bees to start forming their honeycomb. So I hope that works. We're going to give it a try and we'll see. And hopefully next week we'll begin to populate this with a package of bees. Okay, so it's fairly easy to get it all put back together. Got the top bars in place, and I'll just lay my insulation on top. And here is the top, the lid, and it's just made again out of scrap lumber. And this top part, this yellow, is called coroplast. Coroplast is typically what you see a lot of these real estate or political signs are made out of this. It's very durable, so I'll try that and see if it works well. It is waterproof. We'll just see how it holds up with the sun, ultraviolet pounding on it. So that's the top bar hive. Thanks for watching. And the next video on this subject will be introducing the bees to the hive, and we'll follow up from time to time, see how the hive develops, and see how the bees fare for the next year or 2. Thanks for watching.